And what's beautiful about season 2 is it looks very carefully at a marriage, a same-sex marriage. I think that they are up against so much.
In this series, the baddie isn't Christopher Rawson, it's Anne Walker's brother-in-law, Captain Sutherland. It's also about the love triangle with Mariana Lawton.
It's impossible for them to have smooth sailing because nobody wants them to be together.
Mariana Lawton was Anne Lister, Gentleman Jack's long-term girlfriend and friend for 20 years or so before Anne Lister met Anne Walker.
Hello, Freddie. How are you?
Mariana was really shocked when she found out that Anne Lister had settled down with Anne Walker. And she was very upset and jealous and depressed because she was trapped in this difficult marriage with Charles Lawton.
How is Mr. Lawton?
Oh, irritable. I hardly see him.
And, you get the idea that she thought Anne would always be there and that if things got really bad, she could always come to Shibden.
I doubt I will see you this summer. I'm taking my little friend to Paris.
Mariana was Anne's greatest love, and she hasn't said goodbye to that, even though she's married to Miss Walker. Because we saw them bicker a lot in series 1, and in this one we understand more about what happened with them and how they fell in love and why they can't be together, why they annoy each other. So I think that influence weighs heavy on Anne and stops her from giving herself fully to Anne Walker. I think a big theme for their relationship is the discovery that perhaps Anne Walker isn't the first woman that Anne Lister's ever been sort of involved with.
She hasn't got a clue, has she? About the vast, rich tapestry of your fruity past.
And it would be very nice if we could keep it that way.
So Anne Walker's no fool for having not thought of it, but as she starts her life with Anne Lister, she starts to hear a few names and she starts to hear a few things and starts to wonder, have you done this before? And it's about her discovering to what extent that was. Will she ever really want to know, and how much would she accept?
She turned to Charlotte and she said, Mariana would not be too pleased if she saw her successor.
We never know quite whether this relationship will jeopardise the marriage with Anne Walker, so it's a threat to that. And it's very tragic, though, because you're watching her driven by quite unconscious panic about not wanting to lose this relationship and being manipulative, trying to keep it. So it's watching that struggle.
Yours entirely and forever. Mariana.
Anything can rock Anne Walker, because even though she's under the care of Dr. Belcom at the beginning, once she's out in the real world, once you're back in society, you feel rocked. Unless you've got the support, and sometimes Anne Lister needs to be away from Anne Walker, and therein lies the problem again.
It's kind of you to let me go. I love you.
I think it has a really, really damaging effect on her, and that's why their relationship suffers, because every time her family object to her, she objects to Anne Lister, and it's a sort of vicious cycle. I think she's still quite desperate for her family's approval, certainly by her aunt Anne Walker, who represents the sort of last kind of matriarch in her family.
And what you can't see, or won't see, is what a laughingstock you make of yourself by having anything to do with her.
What's tricky is we are rejecting them, so we don't want to be seen with them, but we still want to have control over what they're doing.
Miss Walker being here and how long she will remain are two very different things, Miss Lister.
And the sooner it is sorted out, the better.
But she's really out on a limb. She hasn't got a mum or a dad. She's got an elderly aunt, and her sister's miles away and married to a pig. So she's stuffed, really.
I think Captain Sutherland in the first series was more worried about the Priestley's effect on Anne Walker rather than Anne Lister. And I think in this series that's a slightly more shared thing now is the regard Anne Lister and exactly what's going on with her.
Someone must have put an idea in her head.
How should I reply then?
Don't. Just intrigued to know what's behind it.
And he thought Anne Lister was a predator. He thought she was after Anne Walker for the wrong reasons. He was very mistrustful of the nature of their relationship. It was clever, and he was pretty litigious like Anne Lister was. Very switched on, very proactive, very determined not to let this land go out of the Walker family.
If she never marries, which she seems to have little inclination to do, especially now she's settling at Shipton Hall with Miss Lister, then the entire estate will come to Sackville.
I think because of the environment that they're in, the times that they were living in, it's impossible that they were ever going to have completely smooth sailing for their relationship. There's so much stacked against them.
How much can two people take pushing themselves out of societal norms?
And all this unpleasantness is so tiresome, and I'd like to put it behind us. So I think it's never going to be completely easy for them, even if we're rooting for them.
So yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of threat to their marriage, but it makes good TV.
You, madam, may find that by crossing swords with this family, because it isn't just me, it's the Edwards, it's the Priestleys, it's the Rawsons, you may yet find, madam, that you have bitten off more than you can chew.